Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is going to be a reading today from the perspective of Aquarius. There's no extended for this reading, but if you'd like an extended of your own, you can find all that info in the description box. So, Aquarius, I've got some cards out on the table. What the universe wants to remind you your superpower is the Six of Cups. Disclaimer, okay? There might be a bit of a love reading going on here. Okay, so take it as it resonates. If that's not your story, you know what to do with it. But that's the metaphor I'm going to work with because that's what I got. So, Six of Cups is what the universe wants to remind you your superpower is. And this is talking to me about playful energy, right? Activating the inner child. It gives me the idea of putting on a playlist that takes you back to that sweet spot, right? Because there's something about being in this energy of just, playfully being in the now moment, content with whatever it is that you're working on in front of you, that's going to pull in something unexpected and good for you. And I'm seeing that because the Page of Cups is behind the Six of Cups, right? So this is about finding something unexpected that really kind of lights you up. And that's coming out of a Nine of Swords, right? So this could be describing the environment that you're currently in, or at least the environment that you're coming out of. But it's like, I'm almost thinking of like the energy of a circumstance that left you in a Nine of Swords might be having a Page of Cups kind of moment, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm about to sneeze, so I learned when I was a waiter that if you feel the sneeze in your left nostril, if you touch your inner eye, it's like that button shuts off the sneeze. So that's my gift to all of you today. So we're talking about getting into that playful energy, right? That there's something about it's also giving Nine of Cups, right? Where it's an energy of contentment and peace and just kind of chilling. And because you're detached from this Nine of Swords, right? It seems like that's the key here. We want to detach from this Nine of Swords so that a Page of Cups can come out of it, something unexpected and valuable and blah, blah, blah. So the goal that's on the table is the Lovers, right? This is what we're trying to manifest. So between that and the Six of Cups and everything else, that's kind of why I'm thinking this might be a love reading. But beyond that, what the Lovers usually talks to me about is timeline merger, but it's like divinely guided timeline merger. And the reason why I think this card became the Lovers is because the ultimate form of timeline merger is when you do partner up with somebody in that capacity, right? Because it's like your entire algorithm changes, your routine, what it is you do, where you go, what you eat, how you dress, all of those things usually change because there's this new thing that your world is kind of revolving around, right? And vice versa, their world should be revolving around you. So that's why, again, it's like whatever this merger is, it's like I'm seeing it as an energy of reconnection, really, just because of that Six of Cups, right? This is nostalgic energy, right? So I in other readings there were things that were coming up that felt like trying to avoid bringing back the past, but again, it's like take it as it resonates. What needs to be negotiated with is the Six of Wands, right? So this is the energy of something coming back from the past. That's how I read this card. The Six of Wands is something that was counted out, right? He went off to battle so long ago, or he left the picture so long ago, they, them, this, that, the third, whatever. The Six of Wands went off to battle so long ago that people just assumed he lost, right? So when he shows back up to the village victorious, they're like, oh snap. It's like, I don't know, wasn't that the Lord of the Rings, Return of the King? Like it's something like that, where it's like this character we did not think we were going to see again because we thought that they were killed off last season or something like that. But here they are. And what it's moving into is the Nine of Pentacles, which is the advice card, right? So I'm very interested in the fact that this Nine of Pentacles, which is representing you because it's the advice of what you're supposed to do, has her back to this Six of Wands, right? She's not paying attention to it. She's fully just focused on what she's doing, right? So that's what I was saying here, where it's like losing yourself in a moment of play and just focusing on what you're doing. But again, the Nine of Pentacles, she ain't no child, right? She's standing on business, as the kids might say these days. So this is very much so kind of focusing yourself on your work, that which brings you joy and nostalgia, right? So it's whatever. So quite frankly, it's making me think of like if there was a project that you used to do, right? Like maybe for whatever reason you went through like a macrame phase and that was just your thing and you did it, or you were all about doing the pottery but you haven't had a kiln in forever. So it's doing something like that where it's like because there's a time travel aspect to the Six of Cups, because mentally you're time traveling, right? You're going back into this energy of when things are good and perfect and blah blah blah, and it's like when you turn on that energy, it's magnetic, right? There's something attractive to it. It's almost like it calls in the pollinators, so to speak. It's like when the flower blooms, the butterflies appear. It's like you have to get into your flower kind of vibe if you want the butterfly. And the flower vibe for you is activating whatever this fun, playful, quote unquote, inner child kind of energy is. And again, the advice looks like the Nine of Pentacles, which is kind of just like a more grown up version of that, right? Because her Six of Cups, her playful energy is this beautiful garden that she tends to. But then she also has, you can kind of see it on this card, this hawk, right? I forget what they call them, if that's an augur or something, but typically the Nine of Pentacles is depicted as somebody that's trained hawks, right? And that she has that spinny thing that she swivels. I don't know any of the language for hawk training, but she's able to effectively call to her these wild beasts that are impossible to call in, right? It's like hawks don't land on people, but they land on the Nine of Pentacles because that's just how magnetic she is. And it's also how confident she is, right? Because she's just chilling in her zone, in her space. And it reminds me of the energy of play, of the way that children are, right? Because children are very much so in the now moment, right? Especially like young children. They don't have a concept of like 10 years in the future. What are we going to do this weekend? It's just what's happening now is all that's happening. And there's something about that where it's like allowing yourself to be in a space where you're focused on that thing that you love. What's happening now is all that's happening. Being at peace with the story of the past. And then it's like something comes back. Like as soon as you stop thinking about that thing, it shows up, if that makes sense. It's like, I mean, it's really just kind of turning on your inner hot girl energy. That's the only way that I can say it. I'm sorry. And for men that are listening, you know, your inner hot boy energy, whatever. But it's something about that where it's like when you're in this space of play and freedom and just being in the now moment, there's something magnetic about your energy that like something else is feeling, right? And considering the way that the energy looks on the table, it's like I don't necessarily think that it's something that you wouldn't want to come back. That's not at all what I'm seeing, right? Because it could have come up with much different energy. If anything, it seems like, because again, we're going from a Six of Cups to a Nine of Pentacles, right? So this is the Wayback Machine, right? We were just kids. Even if you were in your 20s or 30s, right? Maybe emotionally mature wise, you were just kids. Now everybody's coming back to the table as grown folks, right? It reminds me of a story. This was a reading that I did maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago for a woman that was about 70 years old. And she was asking me about moving. This was the question. We were talking about, should she move hours away from where she is to be closer to her daughter? The reading shows up with, again, Page of Cups, Six of Cups, Lovers, all of this. So I said, I was not expecting this to turn into a love reading, but are we open to a love reading? And she said, oh yeah, I'm open to love. And I said, well, it looks like there is a love that's coming. I don't know if it's coming when you're here, but it's like part of this story where it's like being a teenager all over again. I'm like, it's like a teenage romance, right? I'm talking to somebody that again is 70 years old, but I'm like, this is teenage love affair energy that's coming through. Well, wouldn't you know that within the next couple of months, she winds up reconnecting with somebody that she was married to when she was 19 years old. And they loved each other, but they were kids, right? So they split apart, and then here they are, what, almost 50 years later, rekindling this romance because now they're both adults, right? But in the same respect, adults that are having more fun than I've ever had in my entire life because we can't even get a hold of them because they're out just having too much fun being kids. and living their best life and being hot girls and whatever. So that's the story that I want to share in terms of what I'm seeing with these two characters here, is that it's like they're not kids anymore, right? Whatever it was. So again, this could be a best friend that you haven't reconnected with forever, that you miss or whatever, and like life just took you apart. That's really what I'm seeing. Like I'm just seeing like life took you apart, whatever it was, whatever that means. I take it as it resonates, right? Not every story is going to be the same, but it's like that's what we're talking about here. That's what I'm seeing. That's what we're talking about. Let's pull some oracles and see if we can get a little bit more on what's going. Ooh, that's too many, Lord. I don't know why I get nervous doing love readings, right? Well, you know why I get nervous? Because it's like I don't want to give anybody false hope. That's really like the ultimate job of the oracle, right? Is to make sure you don't steer people in the wrong direction. But again, it's like if everything was not ringing some sort of reactivation of a really near and dear soul connection from back in the day, whether it was friendship, family, romance, work, whatever. It's like that's what I'm seeing. It is what it is. You want to take these? Okay. Okay, so under the lovers, it says, I am safe. So that's talking to me about we ain't kids no more, right? We're grown. It's different. I'm safe. I trust my intuition to lead me down the right path. Timeline merger. Looking back on my trials, I see that I'm still here and thriving. I always end up better, stronger, wiser. And that's where you guys are right now. Better, stronger, wiser. I've proven to myself that I will always make it. Time and time again, I am safe. So this is going back to the idea of, post-eclipse energy and we're not in Kansas anymore kind of vibes. That, you know, perhaps it was the environment that did not allow for this to be quote unquote what it could have been, right? Because Nine of Swords underneath it is coulda, shoulda, woulda, what it could have been, mourning the loss of something that had such great potential, but for whatever reason, again, the paths diverged. But the environment is not the same. I am safe. It's like this is allowed to exist. And I think I've said this in another reading, but I'll say it again here. It's like, I do think that there was something pre-eclipse that for whatever reason, a lot of us were not allowed to be in soul connections. Not allowed to be, I don't know what the right language is, but for whatever reason, it didn't happen. For some people, it happened, right? But for others, it was like, I use the James Bond metaphor of like, James Bond works as an individual contractor, right? He's an independent contractor. And in order to do the work he needs to do, the last thing he needs is to fall in love, right? Because it seems like every time James Bond falls in love, it's an issue and whatever. Underneath the Six of Wands, it says, I'm preparing to move into my perfect place, which is on its way to me right now. So this is coming back to the idea of I am safe. And the Six of Wands is preparing to move into the perfect place, right? So it's about, again, like a frequency alignment. So I think with whatever the nature of this is, again, friend, lover, family, it's like, I feel like both of you are going to come together with the same story, where it's like, let me tell you where I've been in the last 10 years. And they're like, oh, I was in the same place, doing the same thing at the same times, having the same growth, same lessons, blah, 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 blah. And it's almost like you had a lot in common back in the day, and now it's like somehow you have more in common. And then the Nine of Pentacles is clarified by the Strength, the Pillar of Strength, where there's something about being, because did I say that this was the energy of confidence? I don't know if I said that, but it's different than the playful energy here, where it's like getting into your groove. Maybe again, like I was saying, like you haven't done macrame in forever, but there's something about the completion of a project that just boosts your confidence, right? Where it's like there's nothing more satisfying than like completing an artwork and then getting to enjoy it or whatever it is, right? Or seeing your garden grow or tasting that recipe that you've perfected. It's like really getting to appreciate and be in communion with your own creation. There's something about that Stella got her groove back kind of vibe that's going to be what attracts the pollinator, right? This is what blooms the flower and attracts the pollinator, if you want to use that analogy. And then on the bottom of the deck, the overall is I am perceptive. My intuition is powerful. When I'm unsure, my intuition is sure. and I strengthen my intuition by trusting it and responding to its impulses. I am perceptive. So, what that really wants me to say is that it's like one thing that I think a lot of us have acquired at this stage in the game is the BS detector, right? Subliminal issue. I don't care what sign you are. It's like if you're, for whatever reason, subscribed to this channel or found me in the algorithm, you probably have some pretty solid intuition, right? So it's like if there's a snake in the grass, you're going to know, right? Because it's like you know what to look for, you know what the red flags are, you read between the lines as if that's your job. So coming back with like I am safe, right? It's kind of echoing on that where it's like if somebody hasn't matured or grown or blah blah blah, you're gonna know, right? So that's where I say take it as it resonates, right? And recognize that it's like, but this is not to say like put your guards down because you've made it to this stage in the game, right? It's just to remember that it's like you'll know, right? Since the eclipse, I'm sure we've all encountered folks in one way or another that, you know, we immediately were like, oop, I know who you are and what it is that you do, and thank you but no thank you, right? So it's just a matter of knowing that it's like that's most likely why this is even going to happen, right? Because maybe because the intuition wasn't as strong back in the day, there were variables that came in that clouded the connection or something like that. But now it almost wants me to say that like things are clearer, right? So you might be able to see each other at a level that you didn't see each other before. That's interesting. Thank you so much, Aquarius. I will see you when I see you. Have a great day. Bye.